Say that again? Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me all?
Yes, how are you?
Very good, very good. I apologize that I couldn't make it in person, but I'm have a meeting later today up Island, so I'm in the Patchogue office.
No worries.
I'm expecting one more board member to arrive, but we can get started now. So let's begin with the pledge of allegiance, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Outside of the March minutes, send any of them.
Pardon me, Tom?
Did you send any other minutes outside of the March minutes?
I think we're not looking at, they're done, but there's nothing over here.
Okay. So is there a motion to approve the March minutes? I'll make it. Okay. Second?
Second. Can everybody in the audience stop talking more?
Is there a motion? Yes.
Yes.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Those are approved. So we're revisiting 149 CC. And let's start off with just reminder on the requirements in that. Pat, when you read this, requirements something.
Provide new preliminary drawings.
Dan Kissinger, McDonough County Architect. After our submission, we kind of played around with the lighting diagrams in our renderings. The lighting wasn't really right, so I'm just going to show you. Increase some of the lighting. I know that was
Is this what we have, or is this new?
It's the same exact thing. I just wanted to show that we increased some of the lighting in the nighttime renderings.
So
And I apologize.
this is new information from the packet we have. What I'm trying to clarify. Some of us come in and get the packet a week ahead to review, so these are different.
Just the lighting in the nighttime renderings.
So these would not, what you're presenting right now are not on the Google Drive, which some of the members refer to either. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I want to remind the board that this is our 6th hearing. We
I'm aware of that.
five hearings of comments. One of the comments that is the industrial look to it. There's a commercial look to it. I want to remind the board that the neighboring properties being modern houses, 2-story elements. And I do have photos that I brought with me showing that they're similar features. They're a 2-story house. We're an elevated house out of the ground. I know I mentioned this a bunch of times that since we are in a flood zone, we have to be raised up. Legally, we're allowed to have a 2-story house. So my client really wants to have that second story for the bedrooms to have the view of the ocean. So decreasing the amount of square footage on the second floor is just not feasible for him to do that.
All right. Just a moment on the next. Yeah, please share.
Sorry, apologies, everybody.
Just a second. These are different residents, specifically with light information, they were upgraded, so they didn't have to drive, so it was referred to. Thank you. For that discussion. Please continue.
So, some of the other comments were that, our first renditions of the design did not have a lot of elements that matched the front to the back. We had a cantilever in the front, and then the back had balcony across the whole back. So we took those comments and we brought it to show similar elements throughout, which I feel that we grabbed that in this design. So I don't know if you want to go to the daytime. So the front having the black material screening in front of the windows with the natural wood tone. We're going to follow that to the back elevation with similar screening material and how we have those elements kind of matching front to back. That design, in reviewing some of the other modern houses, I know some of the board members mentioned to take a look at some of the modern elements in those houses. So I took a look at those. I do have images of that with me if you need to see some of those elements. So last hearing, we also had a question, or every single meeting we brought up building height. How tall is this house? And the house is 31 and a half feet tall, which I confirmed with the building department here, with John, that it's the same height as the other houses next to it. Behind it at 131, 139, and 138 seascape. They're all the same height. That's the maximum height that we're allowed in this zoning district. And so, if you could go to the last page or the last color. That's it. So last page that we have. You guys have that. This is a view from Sac, Maine, which is brought up one of the hearings. And I wanted to point out that this is 131 seascape, where they have about 80
That's the
feet.
base math.
No. Bates Mass is the one of 139, I believe, seascape. And I want to point out that our frontage from Sag, Maine is only about 22 feet wide compared to, this is about 80 feet wide. And it's all glass across. And I want to point out that our side elevation that's pointing that way only has 24-inch high glass pointing that way. Not a lot of light going across Sag, Maine. We also discussed window treatments, that you were favorable for. So we're going to do on the second floor the Huber ceramic 30 film, which is only 30% of the light emitting from the house out outside. And the first floor is going to be the 40% light emission coming out. So we're going to be looking at that adjustment that we came to agreement with. So overall, I feel that we came up with a lot of changes over the past half a year to accommodate a lot of the comments we got from this. I'd like to hear if you have anything to
I mean, it's not.
I think it goes a long way in the front of the house with the breaking of the planes and using natural materials. On top of the fact that with the driveway and it's hopefully mutually beneficial, not to be looking at everyone else and that everyone really can't see you. But with the no break throughout the whole structure, even with lower ceiling heights in the second floor, it just really does present a very large. And I feel like it was a build the suit situation, then there maybe would be more flexibility. And we're supposed to come shy of coming up with actual suggestions.
I like the changes that you've made with the light and dark. It does help tone down the industrial feel. But you said that this was your sixth time presenting. I'm just curious how much change has happened since the first time. I wasn't here, and other than the times that it has been presented to me here, just little tweaks here and there are what I've seen, not I'm just wondering what the difference is from the beginning to where we are now with all of the suggestions.
We did go through about two other complete design revisions. So floor plan changes and the material colors. I had tree bands in it. I don't know if you have renderings in the folder that we could possibly show to answer to her question at all.
That's, she's,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
As they're looking for that, I just also wanted to show that this is 139 seascape, where it does have the 3-story element cubicle and a lot of glass in certain areas, and I feel that those design elements are pretty similar. If not, some of the other designs
There
have
were
a
some
lot of
breaks though
glass.
within the roof line design.
There are with the glass
Right,
elements,
with the
which we,
Connectors, yeah, last one.
if you notice that we did some breaks in the roof line to have these elements.
Isn't that further back and also like?
This is directly on seascape. So we're on a flag lot, we're actually further from the court, the
That's a, that's
It's
big,
just-
that's
Yeah, that's basically.
and they just
the one that hasn't sold.
Right. It's
come
taken
in,
from the, yeah, you're not getting a perspective of the connect.
Some views of that house as well. There's all the glass in there.
I need to go back to, and what was the, I'm just curious, this time. What are you achieving with the structures, the blocks, the way that they're?
So the way that they're angled is to optimize our views of, we have certain views that we can see the ocean, we can see the bay. And so if you see a site plan, our drawings. which is- Our site plan, I was trying to keep our existing pool. So part of the house follows it's parallel with the pool. Comes this way, so we have a view of the bay. We come this way, so we have a view of the ocean this way.
But the front part up here,
Front part over here.
that's not maximizing any views, right?
Over here now, there's no views this way. We're doing screening along here to the neighborhood property, which is the 80-foot front of glass modern house next to us. So we were just using that as part of the garage space underneath, and above that is a powder room, mudroom space, which is kind of the secondary functions to the house, where we need views, which is why we don't really have too many windows. It's a lot of wood along here. It's mainly just bathrooms. There's pantry space and stuff like that.
This is from the last.
This is from March.
That's the back.
That's the entrance. It's just the mass.
The mass blocking this of the mass.
But we didn't discuss that to be broken landscaping.
You can't really,
When you like some pretty mature trees and
Pressure to the covenant on the landscape. If you want to see any other perspectives.
Well, I have March, but the difference is, I'll just.
I think it's a vast improvement when you get into it, get up close to it with the breaks of the plane and everything, to hide the overall mass of it. But the problem when you
No,
pull back,
really.
that is less of an effect, you're done with the mass of it again. I think that's sort of what the issue is for something.
You know, we've also discussed possibly doing a berm in the front of the house. From my understanding of code, I know we weren't, my thinking is that we can't grade up, but I don't know if we could discuss with.
I think with the front, the landscaping, so hiding some of the elevation with that, the landscaping you have, takes care of the visual aspect of it without having to put a berm there.
Does that eliminate a lot of that mass and scale issue?
Yeah, from the front, I think it really does.
Okay.
It's just really, it's from here, and I know there's a measurable precedent I just wonder if this exposure that we see from here would necessarily suit a prospective buyer to have that exposure as well. And if it's landscaping, I'm not sure how you ensure that someone doesn't mow it down the second they buy it, you know?
We were discussing earlier too, if I were to plant, let's say, 15-foot high screening along there, like bushes going up. To block
Yeah.
the people seeing that image,
This is February.
would that be a neighbor?
It would, I think we'd have to discuss how much landscaping can be included in our. You know, is it like someone saying, I live by candlelight, don't worry, and they said, you know, I just don't know. How much we can sort of. I think the improvements are measurable. I don't think this is a case of them putting us up against the ropes time after time. I think the first changes were definitely subtle. I'll put the first few meetings definitely on you guys.
I think it was more just like the materials that we changed at first.
Yeah,
This, we completely came back 2 months later. We made a lot of changes, tried to bring some elements from the front to the back. Obviously still trying to maintain those views that my client really wants.
yeah.
The tonal, the dual color helps.
I sort of think it does. I think it will from a distance. I think it could. I think it has in these renderings.
Yeah.
And I think even if it does look like two houses or is somewhat just, at least it implies the, you know, a little break in the sprawl.
Could you just explain the
It looks more
difference
industrial.
between the last time and this time? So it look, this is all open, now this is all enclosed, what's the,
So we created a lot of these elements out of certain portions of the house that we previously had. We had this kind of protrusion coming out, which
Right.
I don't remember which one we're talking about. The elements that came in and out.
Oh, Nick, yeah.
So we took that comment, we brought it so that they made sense that everything's kind of has an idea behind it. Why it's there, instead of just, this was essentially just a bathroom that had a window in it, different size window, didn't really match anything, so we brought that to this.
I like the changes with this.
I was just curious, being near the water and if there was any thought or have contemplated any other materials to juxtapose with one of the woods, stone or concrete or, something, just from durability, design.
We did have some stucco, in some of our first designs. We felt that maybe that was not favorable, so we went more with the natural blues. It is just design decision.
How are these gonna weather, do you know? I'm just
I
curious.
know that.
I mean, is this gonna end up being gray anyway?
It'll tend to gray out, but I'm sure it's going to be like the images of the other houses. So it's going to gray out.
This is gonna turn into a lighter gray, you said?
No,
this
this
That
will
one
turn
is,
gray,
oh, okay.
and this will just be.
Yeah, that should just be the same. slightly darker.
Is this stamped or painted?
So that's going to be,
Just slightly inked or?
how they. To that material. It's a stain. That's a stain.
It is a stamp, okay, thank you.
The color of that stain, please.
It's called Tiger Smooth.
Tiger smooth.
Yeah, and that's the term that's used for how much it's burned. It's referring to a burn. It's burned Tiger Smooth. The finish is Atlas. Thank you. Yeah. And it's Western Red Cedar. FDA is thicker staff. Would you like towards some more screening?
I would be amenable to a word chosen that screening plus two evergreen trees that would grow to bring like two different spots. Two rooms with community two.
Wonder if you could have knowledge of
Personally, I'd be willing to go down to a committee of two to approve landscaping that had that 15 feet of growth, but included two evergreens, trees that would eventually break up and plane, which I think would be beneficial to you guys too. And then bring it to a committee of two to approve or not approve, with the idea that you would have to come back if like it. I'm just one of many people who said.
Do you need to check with the client about that?
I don't believe the specification is that, yeah, and if you okay with the evergreen trees.
Pleasure.
I don't want to push any of you guys into that.
You're okay with that, Counselor?
I'm okay with that.
Okay. All right, so we would be making a motion for the design as submitted today with an understanding that it would be put off to the committee of two to review some landscaping, including two significant, I guess, evergreen trees, which would help break up the ceiling, the roofing line of the structure.
Hi, everybody. Just to make sure, is the applicant aware and everyone's on the same page as to where these trees will go?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
That will be part of
it
the,
would be part of a committee of two. I think you guys understand what we would want. Just,
From the stagnating side.
yeah,
That's the southeast side?
that would be southeast, yeah.
Okay, excellent.
is there a motion with that?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, second,
Second,
all those in favor?
I
Those opposed? Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Just give me a sec. Before we get to talk to it. I'm gonna take a guess.
Fire island mine.
Are you keeping those?
No. Thank you.
but give it a file copy, okay, because this. Thank you.
I gotta get another set of screens. That's. Thank you, Tom.
Okay, can we continue with our discussion on 118 Sagamore Street first? Fine. The paperwork you placed before us is this. And he gave us also 14 edges. Okay.
Okay.
We can send those over. We just have to, any other drawings that come in. 118.
Good afternoon. I'm Ricardo Romo Leroux.
I need to wait for her to come back.
Oh.
Please, they can, thank you.
This one's supposed to give me. No, I'm giving the hard copies.
For the revised, that's it.
Just checking, that's it.
This is it. Okay, just repeat the request.
Incorporate some of the gables on the front to create more traditional elements to the house. Windows flush, not protrude. Reduce the glass. Add window dividers. Better renderings and plans, and specs on the tinted.
So this was, I'll let you go through it to describe what you've changed, and then we can go back and compare the notes. Thank you.
Okay, can I start? Yeah. So I'm Ricardo Romo Leroux. I'm the architect for the whole design. Just to repeat the properties of 118 Sac Main Road, the renderings that we are showing are taken from inside the property. So basically, we're not taking into consideration the trees of the streetscape and anything that is mature and existing at the front of the property. So I have some pictures here that I can also show how screened from the street the house really is. So to the house square footage remains the same. That was not something that was requested before. We are under the FAR. The main house is allowed to have 6,000 square feet. We are at 5,649 square feet, plus extra square footage for the garage and the pool house. At the last meeting, we presented a more contemporary version of this house, where it was basically just a long gable roof, like throughout the whole length of the front of the house. So one of the things that was requested was that we break out the roof lines to make it is less monotonous, and I guess more, even though it's not a historic looking house, but it's definitely a more broken down roof line, where we're showing some gables on different heights. There were also some overhanging A windows on the second floor before that we've eliminated. And we have also reduced the overall glass percentage in all sides of the house. I can give you, going into the glass, I can give you some comparisons to what was before. So in the front of the house, originally we had a 24% of glass. Right now we're down to 18%. And we accomplished that by basically reducing the size of the glass in the center part where we have the stairwell. So one of the complaints was that the stairwell having so much glass would create at night, especially too much of a glare. So we have reduced the width of that stairwell considerably, and also added some more dividers into the window designs. So a little, I guess, less contemporary, which was the intent here. When we go to the back side of the house, so those are all views of the front. So that's from the left side, right side. And I can show you here some images of the actual, I took today, of the front of from Sac Main Road. That's basically, there are 3 mature maple trees that they're not in our property, they're part of the street space, so we are gonna leave. And then inside our property, we have also a mature tree that, I'm not a landscape architect, I don't know what it is, but it has a diameter of roughly 50 feet, so it's very wide. That will be on the right side of the front. So going back to the back side, the roof line on this side was kind of liked or well received by the board. So we did not change the roof line, but what we did is we reduced by a considerable amount the glass versus solid ratio on the back. So on this side before, we were at 57.44%. And right now we reduced it to 32.65%. We eliminated all the transoms, so we reduced the height of the glass in both floors, and we also reduced the width in the wings to the sides, and also in the center part we reduced a little bit. Also on the pool house, we reduced the size of the glass considerably too. So that's a view from the rear of the house, and then if we move on to the next, we can see the side views of the renderings.
That's the last of the,
No, so that will be the right side. So that's basically from the side where you access the garage. And then on that side, we are 5% glass. And on the opposite side, which will be the south facing left side of the house, we are at 9.73%. And these numbers that I gave you, the last 2 of the sides, are incorporating the pool house. So we're basically taking the pool house as part of the main house and making our regulations that way. The height of the house, the height of the roof lines of the pitch of the gables are all under what we're required. I believe they are 31 feet above the ground level, existing ground level, and the flat roof over the garage also is under. See what else I could mention that has changed from before. Just to give some numbers, the proposed width of the house is 85 feet wide. The existing house that is right now that we're proposing to demolish, it's 78 feet. So we've increased the width by 7 feet. The house sits, so the front of the garage from the property line is at 85 feet, and the main chunk of the house it's at 110 feet from the property. And then we add the 25 feet of public right of way to the curb line, so the main house will be sitting at 135 feet from the curb line of South Main Road. I also did some comparisons to the properties across, and like just to give you like the three properties right across from us, one is at 120 feet from the curb, the other one 156, and the other one at 60 feet. Then on the north side of the property, we have the farm. And then on the south side, on the left, we have a house that you do not see from the street because of all the landscaping, but it sits at 80 feet from the curb. So I think that's a summary.
That's been there a long time.
Yeah.
Would you say that the zinc roof versus a cedar shake is an important design element?
I have my client here, so
We like the stainless steel roof. We don't think it's consistent with more traditional style roof. So we'd like to keep this the stainless steel. We're open to
also it's just worth noting that the house right across on the right has a standing steel metal.
Yeah.
Also, just a little detail, but on the front of the house, which you see on that rendering, the front wall of the garage, which is a flat roof, which is what you will see when you're driving into the property, we wanna cover that whole wall with English ivy. So it would look like, in reality, it would look like a green wall. And the only thing that you will see when you're walking in the house is that also a vertical rectangular wall. It almost looks like, so the idea is that it would look almost like a freestanding wall. But from the street, you don't see it at that angle. That angle will all be like screened by landscape. You would only see it as you're approaching the house. And that wall will have like a cantilever pergola, just to cast some shades as you're walking into the house.
And the flat roof on the garage, is that flat roof being used for anything like decking or?
No, we're not proposing any decking over there. Yeah. And also the whole front, wherever there are no trees, so basically what would normally be a lawn, we would like to make it feel like almost like a meadow. So very wild with tall grasses mixed with some wildflowers. So the idea is that you wouldn't really see that much from the street, but the idea is that when you're driving into the property, you kind of feel like you're driving through a more wild landscape. Also, the both left and right property lines on our property, there is plenty of mature mix of evergreens and deciduous, and of course we're not gonna touch.
And single digits, like.
Yeah, so only, I mean, if we determine that a tree is sick or something, or then we may take it down, but our intention is to just keep it as private as possible and hidden from view.
I just ask you about the windows. I know you said that you would reduce the.
The bumpers on the front, so we took out the bumpers from we had in the front of the street facade. We had like display windows similar to those,
Right.
so we got rid of those, but we left them on the back since it was not I didn't understand that to be also a request from the board to.
I'm just curious,
Yeah,
I'm curious first, just because also you have them on two, not all three.
yeah,
I'm
so.
just curious what the,
Well, the third one is, if we did that on the third one, it will be just too close to the end. So what we could add, the reason for the other two is those are like window seats, you know, like in the bedrooms. So basically you have the window with a little cushion that you can sit there. The one that doesn't is a bathroom.
Um,
yeah,
Yeah.
same side.
You have some shed roofs over those two, the two back portions that come out on the side. What is that material? For the,
Oh no, the second floor, it's all standing seam.
right, but the little shelter.
Oh, the overhangs,
The
I mean, it's just a little overhang so that when, I guess if you leave the windows open, rain doesn't, it's 18 inches overhang. So, yeah, so it'll just be, I guess, like a flat top with the wood in the front, painted.
Is it wood? I just heard, what's
The
the,
material, they will be clad in wood, yeah. But stained, those parts will be stained white.
yeah, it looks like, oh, it's what you're saying, it's wood, but it's painted white.
Yeah, those portions will be white, the two overhangs and also the structure of the balcony on the right side.
Doesn't look-
So it's clad in wood. Are they flat or are they on a slant? Are they flat? or
They're
on-
flat,
They're
yeah.
flat.
So it's just like a flat overhang. But the balcony of the primary bedroom, which is a structure you see on the right, that's 5 feet deep. But then the little overhang over the windows, those are only 18 inches from the facade. Also
And the balcony is 5 feet deep, is that?
Hmm?
The balcony?
The balcony is 5 feet deep.
Fine.
Yeah. Let me actually confirm, I don't wanna. Yeah. Maybe 6, let me just confirm. It is 5.
Right, but again, it was sense.
Yeah.
As you know, the part of our code includes the sensitivity to the Department of Interior's guidelines. I'd like to understand your perspective of those and explain to us how you've included some sensitivity to that. Are you familiar with what I'm speaking about?
No, can you just refresh my memory?
Part of our code also mentions the federal Department of my mind's going blank for a moment. Department of Interior has guidelines for sensitivity next to historic registry areas, and your neighbor to the south is a historic property. Okay, and it's that's the borderline for the historic district on that end of the north extension of the district. So in your mind, how are you being sensitive to that suggestion, which we are charged with understanding as part of our code? Okay.
Sure, well, that's not a question I thought would come.
See, we're held to the public's understanding of
Sure.
what is important to the historical understanding and appreciation for the village as one of the early settlers here, that's something that's dear to my heart. And so I don't know,
No, we have not, yeah, so,
Okay.
of course, we have nothing but, respect for, yeah. Pardon me, because I don't know that particular, zone.
Okay, all right.
But,
So if I can jump in, can everyone hear me all right?
yeah,
Yeah, if I can jump in, and I think we discussed this at the last, if not second to last meeting regarding that proposed stone house. So nothing in our code. And actually, an outside question, is this property within the historic district, or is this the one that's slightly outside of it?
it is one property away from the district, yes.
So it is not in the historic district.
It is right next door to the historic district, yes.
Okay, but there is nothing in the code which obligates an applicant next door to the historic district or to a historic structure to comport with the historicity of those neighboring structures. That being said, the code allows you to look at striking dissimilarity with your neighboring structures, but the Department of State guidelines are applicable within the district. So just a point of clarification there, if you want to talk about striking dissimilarity with the neighboring historic structure, that's one thing we could do. And also looking ahead, this is on Sag Main Street. I believe, I don't have the section in front of me, that there is a view shed, like a scenic view shed along Sag Main Street.
It's next door to that, yes, I believe.
Okay. So, obviously we need to respect the scenic view shed and we need to respect the dissimilarity versus monotony dynamic in the code. But there's nothing in the code that railroads the applicant just by being next door to a historic property now.
Okay,
if I may just clarify, if I'm not mistaken, I believe we're two tax lots.
well, the Norton House, which is the old one, or sorry, Wilford House, is your neighbor to the south. There's not another lot in there.
Again, I might be wrong. Apologies.
I think that's
I-
just outside the historic district also.
The Norton House is on the register. I mean, sorry, the Wilford House. That was contributing. As far as I know.
I mean, from what I looking at the area, the house right next door, I don't know the name of it, but it seems like I mean, it's a very large property, and it has a swimming pool and stuff, so I don't know, I cannot see it from the street, so I don't know.
Yeah.
It's completely blocked from the street landscape.
Right.
But I don't know if that's it.
It used to be visible from the street. The most recent owner has put in a lot more landscape.
Okay.
But that was an very old house, and one of the founding families was there also.
I mean, I guess try to answer your question about the how I guess before we had a gable roof house that had more of a contemporary barn, so while the materiality of the house is not, we're not proposing a house using shingled roof and siding, we have changed, I guess, the shapes of the overall massing of the house to be more in line with traditional elements. And while this is not a house that would seem appropriate to be in a historic district, it's certainly along the lines with the properties right across the street. I would say two of the three that are basically right in front have contemporary elements to them. So maybe we're not, I guess we're more sensitive to what's across the street, but not what's in the historic district.
Those were changed and updated much more recently. There were a couple short single story.
Yeah, I imagine they're newer, yeah.
Yeah, 138 has been there all of my life, most of my father's life. Does the board wish to say anything else on this? in tying it to what John mentioned with the visual of the open space, it might be helpful to have a rendering approaching the property with a viewscape across the Pike Farm setting. That might help us get a better clarification of what this will look like in the public.
Yeah,
We have more.
I do have some photos from, I mean, this is summer pictures, I know you have requested.
Yeah, the winter.
So this basically, I can take one from farther away, but it's very street, but it will be hard for me now to know what's the winter situation there, but I can attempt to put it.
Yeah, it's from the drive.
Yeah, but I don't have the. Yeah. So from the farm side, basically what you would see, I guess, poking through the vegetation would be the two-story section, which is, I can tell you the length of that. 20 it's roughly 40 feet of two-story section that you will see on the side. Then the rest is the garage, which is the one-story flat roof, and then you have the pool house, which is a gable, but it's one story, so that wouldn't go over above the vegetation.
Right.
But I guess driving from the farm side, you would see 40 feet width of two-story.
Right. Our sensitivity to that was in our window coverage, glass coverage. Right. And that we reduced from, I thought was, what was
17.5.
to 9.7%.
And aren't you built below the maximum height you're allowed to?
We are a foot below the maximum height.
That's something.
In the two-story, and then the other one story, of course, doesn't. Also, the main volume of the house, I mean, if I'm to separate the FAR out, 70%, 71% of the square footage that we're proposing is in this middle part of the house. And then there is a 29% that is in the extension. So the two wings in the I guess that let's call it the rear side, the backyard side of the house, and then the stairwell wing, it's the stairwell volume in front.
Would it be something that you could prepare for us as basic sketch out, feel out what the appearance would be across that?
In winter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We lost that might be good. With the plantings at this point, but yes, it's one of those things that the review request winter feeders because of their foliage.
Is that something the board would consider, two-member panel? That from the north?
I would think so.
Yeah, I would suggest
That's
that.
what we're charged with, we're trying to do our job.
So let's say under the assumption that we provide this view from the farm and needs to your satisfaction, would there be other considerations that in terms of design that would stop you from viewing our project as a favorable submission, hopefully even approval? I mean, our goal is to do a beautiful house that it's not too obvious from the street, that is kind of secluded.
Again,
But we would also like to.
If there are considerations that you can envision to not make it strikingly dissimilar, maybe some, open that field of thought a little bit.
Okay.
Wouldn't that be something though that the board would need to view if they're making those
I'm
kind
not proposing this go to COT.
of renaissance?
I'm not, were you?
If people need an extra look, I mean, I haven't,
think we'll.
yeah, I haven't seen it from the.
Responsibility in this.
Yeah.
I would like to see.
Any other questions for clarification?
No, I think so. It's basically.
Is it just that view or?
I would do a night view, daytime view, winter. Speaking as a perspective of what how it's gonna
And
be.
adjust I guess the materiality of the house to be more sensitive to.
Yes.
To the area.
Yes. And you said it's gonna be a side view, because you do have like angles, it's gonna be
Yes, I
Side
didn't do
view.
a proper side view because, you know, I mean, you're never,
right,
because we're only 20-30 feet from the property line, you wouldn't see it, but the view from the farm would be, I guess, a view from, I can do one from Sac, Maine.
Right.
So that you're at an angle, you wouldn't really, or you would also want me to do, I guess we can always do it, just one from the farm.
one from the
Directly
front, I
from
would
the
like
farm.
that,
Well, I think the street view would be helpful.
yes, that too,
That's
of
what-
course.
Yeah, okay. All right. Very good. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
A second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so, yeah.
My fault, right?
We have.
And yeah, there's some of the street view. Yeah. We're involved with that. So we, with this, are looking at, 4-1 pitches.
Hi, well, good afternoon, everybody, you and all set. Order, 414, just. We reviewed the application, last month. And, board think overall looked at our project favorably. There were some questions about the percentages of glass, and I'll look to reduce the overall percentage. In the 20s. And, we've actually accomplished that. We have added a series of louvers on the outside of the glass that will reduce the glass by 50% on some of those elevations. So if we were to flip to A202, we've bubbled the areas that have been revised, both on the front and also on the rear elevation, or the south and north elevations. We had some percentages previously on the north elevation of 34.4%. We're now down to 29, and that's without considering the special glass that we would like to use. We have a glass that we used previously on other projects, which I have a sample here for you to look at. This is a low E3 glass, which has a solar, a visible light transmission of, it's called low E366, and it actually reduces the visible light by 66%. So that's helpful to the client for basically heating costs and solar heating. Also, essentially doesn't allow the visible light out of the house as much at all. And there's spec sheets that I have for everybody as well. You can see this, it's a little sharper on the edges, but there's a film on the inside of the glass that achieves that visible light transmission. Here's a spec sheet on the actual glass. I spoke directly with the tech reps at Cardinal to make sure that this will do the trick, and it really does. There's also some photos of these fixed louvers that we've done on other projects, mostly for privacy, but it really does reduce the amount of kind of fenestration. That spec sheet is also on our submitted A204 sheet. It was integrated into the sheet, but I just figured if you want a copy, save you that.
No. This
So what they do is they actually add a film on the inside of the glass, and that reduces visible light transmission. They have a helpful chart down here that shows, it's actually on that spec sheet, that shows where our visible light spectrum is, and then there's different types of lights, which are infrared light that could really cause like damage to furnishings and things like that. And so this is a beneficial product to use, and if we take that into consideration, into our calculations, it reduces things even further. So we go from a percentage of glass on our south elevation, we have 24%. Previously, we had, 27%. With the low E3 glass, that brings it down to about a 16.26%. On the east elevation, we were at 16.6. We've retained that 16.6. With the low E glass, we would be down to 10.95. Then for the north elevation, the one that was at 34% last time, we're down to 29. And with the low E glass, that would bring it down to 19.4. So it really does make a big difference. And then finally, for the west elevation, we're 21.4%. With that low E3 glass, it would bring it down to 14%. We've also updated the renderings on A200. You can see the louvers Get the kind of zoom in, is there a way to zoom in on the windows? So you see them towards the back elevation, kind of that pool elevation. We've also updated the renderings in the LaGuardia presentation. Those are full page, they're easier to see locations where we're putting louvers.
Where is that? Cause I can't see it
It's
on
the
this.
one-
Okay, over here.
What
Yeah,
page on
I think
LaGuardia?
it might be best for me to just point it out to you. In this elevation right here.
Okay.
We've got louvers here and here. This is an operable panel, but these are two fixed panels.
Okay.
And then here, same thing. This is an operable panel, we have two fixed panels here. So those are louvers. This is really, actually give the client some privacy going into the backyard as well. And then also on this, let's see, right here, this elevation, this is kind of the blow up of that.
What page number is that? Ray? I have it up on the screen.
It's A200. This is the LaGuardia
That's what I have on.
presentation. Oh, let's see what page.
It's on page 15.
Page 15. Thank you. So page 15, you'll notice we have glass panels here, that's in there again, and now there's louvers covering the glass panels. And that happens on both sides. We added it to this elevation because when you're inside that room, we wanted your experience to be the same. And that helps to reduce our north elevation. And that was really the only, let's say, offensive elevation, you know? With the amount of glass. On page 16, you can also see the louvers on the north elevation. They're adjacent to, they're on both of the connectors adjacent to the optical panels. Middle section is the door, and then there are two fixed panels adjacent to that door. And those will be built out of natural cedar, the weather. I know the rendering, I think there's so many horizontal lines, the rendering is making them move very far. But in reality, they'll be out of natural cedar.
And what are the ceiling heights on the first floor?
10'6" on the first floor. One of the things that we've done as you remember with this design is kind of graduated elements, you know, to a two-story volume. So the house is not, you know, two-story essentially, it graduates up. And I think there's an interesting play of elements to allow it to graduate that way. It's nice. Restrained in some ways. The nighttime renderings are also updated. And in some of those views, it's actually easier to see those movers and how it affects the lighting.
That's fine for you.
Understood. Six, it's the same one here. There's
17. On page 17, the part
Yes.
is that a screen porch on the end? Or is that just a glass?
It's a glass enclosed, dining room. It'll be fully heated and air conditioned, so it's living space. The panels open up in the center and will be a screen, but it's going to be primarily used as a screened porch, but it's really something that they can use all year round. I think there's this idea that it would be nice to have that as a screen porch all year. And then
This is too hot or too cold.
there's the reality of snow and, winter that
Yeah.
everybody hates to deal with. So we'll be using, panels there.
I mean, that's just a very large expanse of windows. But I mean, other than that, and that's a very nice design element.
Yeah,
Other than that, as you said, it's really restrained, I think really effective to breaking up the volume and everything.
yeah, thank you.
Uh,
The other thing to point out is on that area, that is the inward facing portion of the property. So you're looking at a pool, and then there's obviously lots of landscape that's going to buffer you're not going to see that from any perspective. We were very careful about placing our large pieces of glass so they're not visible from adjacent properties.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
How many square feet is the house?
This house. We are at 7468.
Recuse myself for envy. Okay. It's really nice,
It's
really
great
good.
to operate. It's a great house,
It's a what, I'm sorry, 2 acres?
2 acres.
Yeah.
It's actually a little bit above 2 acres. It's 5,179. So it's about 2 acres.
Yeah, personally, I think there's too much right with this house to fuss with what I might have some small issues with personally.
Thank you.
But that's,
Okay.
I mean, the only place where it is somewhat egregious, again, is, believe it was blocked off area, the longest part of land blocked in. You here, and you've got that pool house there.
It's a different presentation. Land.
Yeah, landscaping is a integral part of everything we do. Before, yeah, they're very talented.
Which makes a difference when you present it as well, so
Yeah,
very
thank you.
nice.
Any other questions from the board?
Nope. None.
Okay.
Nope.
Are we at a point where we would entertain a motion?
I think we are.
Is there such a motion?
Make a motion vote.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor should approve as submitted.
I
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would you like to hold on to that glass one?
I have. No, but let's make sure we take down.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this.
We actually have the spec sheet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is also incorporated into that submission. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Beautiful home.
Thank you so much.
Like this. How about that? Can that be requirement of the board?
So are you keeping these?
No. It'll only make me sad if I look at them.
Yes, yeah. Nope, thank you.
Yeah.
Part of the.
The cow.
Okay. I think we're all set. How are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm Francisco Perones, I'm an architect from Rio Ramos, and we're currently building this new home in 64 Sunny Court. When we initially presented the project, I don't know if you remember how it was, we used to have a lot of glass, and we added walls, louvers, to bring down the percentage of glass over the solid building. And lately with the client, we have been discussing a new option for the south of the house, which would be the first floor that looks towards the pool. I don't know if the floor plan.
This is the wood page for the
The first one is fine, yes. So as you can see, this is the first floor plan. We have on the south, that would be the front of the house, we have the pool and an elevated lawn because the entire house has been raised over pilings because of the flood elevation level. And in order to comply with the amount of glass that the board allowed us to have, we put some walls throughout the entire house. One of these is the one that is marked in red with a red square. That is just between the living room and the dining room. So what we propose here to do in order to allow the views from the interior towards the garden and the pool from that area is that instead of having a fixed panel and a fixed wall, what if we have a fixed unit, a window, so we could have the glass and put a sliding panel in front of that made of the same siding as the house, and basically move whenever the client wants to see the views from the inside of the house. Just slide the panel, put her on a place that it's not going to be that visible from the interior, and basically allowing to enjoy the views towards the terrace, the pool, and all the farm that we have on the back, which are really nice views. So if you slide to the next slide, that's a zoom of the current situation of the wall as it is. Next one, please. That is the south elevation, showing the wall that we would like to replace, please. And this would be the proposed solution, replacing the wall with a fixed unit and just a sliding panel, as I said, that would be completely blind, so we can move it and no light go through that basically. This is just a schematic drawing showing the percentage of glass between the original version and the proposed version. We're actually reducing a little bit the amount of glass when the sliding panel is towards the left, because we're keeping two columns that are there in between the windows, so that is technically not glass, so that adds up. And we have some renderings as well showing the situation. That is the look from the view, from the pool, sorry. And that would be when you move the sliding panel to the left. Next.
John, would there be a provision that this must stay in in existence following any storms or any
That would be part of your resolution.
right, some sort of a covenant of writing.
I'd be particularly concerned that the inside treatment of that wood panel, having moisture trapped in and no light or anything, would get mildewed and blacken up, and therefore would always be slid as far away from where it would sort of block. It would, I mean, would a fixed panel still give you not the most expansive view, but some directed view can sometimes be nice too?
That's a good, pretty valid point. I think that air is still going to run through between the window and the panel, and considering it's a south wall, the sun, it's going to be a pretty dry area. So we think that it's not going to be a big problem. If it happens, this panel can be taken out, milled and sanded and put back in the same position. Because it's sliding and it's a possibility to take it out. So
What is the distance between the window and the panel?
I would say between 4 and 6 inches. If you go to the floor plan, you will be able to see that. Is it possible to zoom in to that floor plan, to the one below, next to that one, so they can see how close to the window it is? So to the columns, we are tight, but to the window, we have approximately between 4 and 6 inches. But nothing can go in between. And that is a fixed unit, so nobody can go out. We have the egress doors on the sides. The good thing is that this is mostly for when you're in the inside of the house. So during the night, it's not that you're going to gain that much views when you do it. So that is a good reason to put it back in place again in case the light is a problem. But
Part of the street
Civic
also
duty.
puts high beam bulbs right into that room.
yeah, we have a very big hedge. I would say it's more than 20 feet tall. And our plan is to even have it, let it grow even more. So the house is not very visible from the street. And consider that you have the pool in front of the house, and it's really on a big setback. So it's not right on the face, right next to the street.
But this itself is elevated here.
That's elevated.
This is a 15-foot marker.
Yes, 17.
Any further questions?
I feel more, I mean, I feel personally more comfortable with a fixed panel because it does go a long way to breaking up this long line.
Right.
They're trying to get rid of a wall, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
So like they're actually asking to not have quote
Yeah.
unquote fixed, you know what I'm saying?
I was looking for a panel that might make they get their CFO way outside their garbage a little bit.
okay. Great. Okay. Emily, any questions?
No, no questions.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve this?
Sure.
All those in favor? Or who's the second? Sorry.
Second,
Who's the first?
I guess
She was the first.
yeah, I guess I was the first.
Second.
So who's on second?
I don't know.
We're getting there.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Yes and nay?
I'm not, so this is my first time seeing it, since I wasn't at the meeting last month.
This is the first time.
This is the first time.
Yeah.
This is the first time.
You can say no.
I'm yes with the fixed, 100% yes with the fixed panel.
That's not what they're asking.
But I guess,
You don't have to.
yes, I'm gonna hold off.
Okay, so you'll be negative?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so it's approved 3 to 1. Okay.
Very good. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you. How-
You can,
Thank you.
Going a little old school here. You'll know why when you survive being older. No, you're sitting down. If you want, I'll bring them to you. If you wanna hold a copy. Charlotte Early, earlier, thanks for presenting for the Weldies, as Weber is here. This is Thomas Halsey house, Gilder, sorry,
That's okay.
Paris, listed, 1919. It's adjacent to the Weldies' current property at 620 Cycle Pond Road. And when this came on the market, they were interested in having separate from their own property, never to be contiguous, but a place for their 3 grown children to bring their husbands and then bringing kids into the world, et cetera, et cetera. So this suits their purposes very nicely. They've known this property a very long time and love its arrangement, love so many things about it. Their intention is not to expand or do anything old, and certainly respect the historic nature of the original house that is contributing structure. The garage and the pool house are not contributing as you've listed. And there is an addition of a greenhouse as part of what would be a developed garden where there used to be a pond in the landscape. So if we look at
Just get it down. What's your name? I'm sorry.
my name's Charlotte Worthy.
All right.
I'm
You're on file.
okay, yes.
Okay, sorry.
If we go to S 2.0 and we look at the site plan, and they're looking a lot different, more complete. And maybe using a zoom in, I wanted to talk about what changes we're actually making to the each individual structure here. We've on the site plan, we've shaded the areas where there would be additions to the footprint. We are well under the FAR here. But the main house has an existing porch. Again, it's not historic and it would have never survived given the slope of its roof. But so we have reconfigured it and turned it 90 degrees, had it sort of looking out to the landscape. The garage, we're calling garage barn, it's the structure at top. It was 2 cars facing the road, now it's 1 car that enters from the side. And we're transforming its look away from suburban 2-car garage to what would be a small barn. And the pool house has a very treacherous interior stair at the moment. It serves as a cabana for the pool on the first floor, and it is intended to be an artist studio on the second floor, which, given what you've all spoken about today, that we've got windows because it is an artist studio. The main house, thinking more of the details of the main house, we go to just the 1.2.1, 2.0 first. There is some restoration of the main house in that the street facade, we all love what it looks like now in every way, with the exception of a balcony that protrudes from, and it's looking your way on the west elevation of the model. We're taking the balcony off. We're removing the 2 French doors that were not original on that facade and putting windows back. There's a balcony here, across here. This was doors with steps going out, so these are just now back the way it was before, windows. The porch, this is sagging a bit, so we'll lift that up and we will restore the Doric they'll stay. It's all new windows and doors throughout, LePage windows, 5/8, if we can get it 7/8 if we're forced to, Munton with back to cottage windows, they're 1/1s now. There are some, this and the side lights flanking the front door. If we can restore those and keep those, they do keep that original, like, you know, the overly painted Doric columns look like the old stuff, the original stuff, and we would take that tack with those windows, everything else would be new. If they can't be restored, they're new too.
That just heavier coating of paints on the rest of the stuff, or?
Yeah, well,
Right.
and all the edges are soft,
Yeah.
and it's been touched so much since 1919. That's the story on this. From the addition on the house itself, we've come out, nothing you'd see from the street, but we've expanded a slot this side, not beyond the bay, just to give room to the kitchen, which is a very tiny kitchen inside the house. So that gives some breathing room for the kids and their family and their friends coming and hanging out in the kitchen, one would. This is the porch facade. We're respecting the formality of the front porch and using colonnettes in the back and doubling, tripling them up to hold the pedimented roof here for the back porch. We're pushing away the second floor windows so that we can fit beds on this elevation. The beds upstairs are really parked in the middle of the room because there's no place to get out from behind a window. So those, am I missing anything? Those are the moves we're making on this house. The barn itself, the original volume of the garage was this. We are raising the roof height of this. We are hoping to find timber frame and use original reclaimed, because it's an issue in our country of barns being raised and disappear altogether. This is a double height space that is a bigger living room that serves, you know, the use of the house itself. This remains a garage, and this is stairs up to an attic space. We're sort of treating the front as if it had a haymow upstairs, and so you had access for that. So this window and then these 2 small dormers, throw light down the stair. Sorry, throw light down the stair and put light in the attic. So kids' stuff gets out of parents' house and into the attic.
Is that living space? We'd be seeing lights on?
That's
that
not a
whole-
legal living space,
Okay,
and
it's not.
she's so excited to have their stuff someplace else. You won't see lights from the boxes out in front of the windows, I'm sure, but the pool house itself, this is existing for pool equipment. This didn't draw it in the mass model, but we put a hood over this just to get you out of the rain. We've made this a more traditional configuration instead of French doors here. So it also has side lights and a Dutch door. This pergola is the existing footprint. It's got nice mature wisteria. I don't think it's going to survive a renovation, but it will be reconstructed in kind in the same footprints. So and this view from the front, artist studio, putting in a monitor that has, you know, a bona fide set of windows this side, and just small windows, not dissimilar to dormers on your house. We just both of us happen to see them on our way here. This Flat roof, we've got it currently rendered as shingle, but to hold in abeyance, and I drew it this way in the model, this may be zinc coated copper because of the pitch. I'll take advisement from Wright, who is going to be our builder,
It's like a 10-4 now or even less.
even less, so I don't think it's not gonna make the cut. This is a stair that's kind of taking the cue from that chamfered bay on the house. And trying to deal with not having a big mass coming in. I mean, these all are so small that any mass seems a huge aggressive move to each building. So these lights pour into what is the artist studio. Again, it's not a legal bedroom. It's not being used that way. So we're respectfully requesting that you understand that artists need light and artists aren't, I don't know, painting at night. Yeah, it's up to you all, but that was our idea here. The conservatory is kit built. Hatley Botanicals in Great Britain. I wish there was an American company who built nice ones, but Lord and Burnham's no longer around doing it. And a little tool shed adjacent to it. And the pools remain. This garden area is not really considered in part of the scope of work yet, but there's this beautiful arc of a wall. This used to be the pond. So we're just going to start to develop perennial beds, maybe move the peonies here in here to get started on that and make this feel like farm property in that way. That's the idea. Did I miss anything? Oh, the driveway is being reconfigured. The site plan is 2.0. The straight on approach, just right from the street into the garage barn was something that they, well-to-use the owners, did not like, full stop. So we got in a car and drove around that beautiful beech tree, and it does make a nice comfortable curve there. You can easily slip into that one-car garage bay, but also park around and get in and out easily. We've set up a fenced-in lawn, and we will heavily plant that front just to break the street noise that's pretty intense. They'd like to use that front yard as a room. And so it's got its own gates and fence. And the property now is fenced in for the pool in a very similar way. So we're keeping that as the pool fence, the perimeter being fenced in. We will put a new refreshed gate at the back. We've tweaked our outdoor shower so that we're falling within the setback of the house. Yeah. The materials are all shingle except for that roof. The barn shingles are greater exposure, 9x9. There was, and I put it in our rendered setup, the house 49 Town Line Road, the barn there, was an inspiration for the look of this barn. It was definitely an old-fashioned barn. It had several lines and the access to the haymow with the shutter. The trim will be painted some version of a lichen green, yet to be determined. And the shingles will silver naturally.
So in the pool house with the cupola, basically I'm just concerned about the lighthouse effect with the glass at the top. Is there stuff pointing up? That's the studio, is it not?
It's not a studio.
Right. So is there lighting pointing up or? Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Um, Is that taken into consideration anywhere with the light calculation? Have you done nighttime renderings? Okay. Are there, are there plans to do a glazing calculation with? Oh, they're not.
That even, that's mostly replacing in time on a site as large as this.
Mhm.
It wouldn't be required, but if it is.
It can be requested, yeah, but
Are you requesting?
just putting it out there that usually it's almost standard nowadays to get that.
And be. If proof of interesting, there could be some like, as far as this is facing their own property. Or their neighbor property, which is also
Right. But but the larger windows are actually to the street.
Right. Where in the site plan, that row of beech trees
Right.
are here. Area are throughout 620 and are a favorite tree.
I used to dog sit in the 70s there.
What kind of dog? Oh,
It was kind of this was for the Jones sausage family.
well fed.
I can't say that. It was just an old dark dog.
dog.
Yep, just dog. It was about 77.
Oh, there's a Labradoodle that is one of the children of the wealthy family.
Yes.
So there'll be a dog in the house.
My neighbor was frantically running around looking for my dog, so. An official hello, sorry, I was not normally like that. Well, this is my one nippy moment I'll ever have in my life, and I can't think what's wrong with this, so.
It seems like you've been very considerate.
Yes. It's love doing this. To save a historic house, it's a privilege.
Have you done other work in this area?
We just renovated the house next door that was a spec house, house number 13. Who's the director? Michael Davis. This is 13th house as a renovation. So we were always calling it, we took the spec out of the interior. It's got, nice thick floors and new stair, new everything basically, but now it feels like as much as it can an old house. Yeah, and we've done similar projects in Bedford, North Salem, barns, stables, old houses. So yeah, it's my fellow principal in the firm, Billy Mitzi, that loves barns and stables.
With the proximity of this to the school, is there any interest on the board's part to perhaps make a site visit?
What was your question? Proximity to the school?
You have it right next door to the historic school. And the fact that it's It is right there. Do you want to do a site visit so that you can see what the schoolyard is looking at? Proximity and sense of the project and scope. Might be responsible on our part.
That's good on the sides.
Yeah, you and I clogged up a committee of two with the tree.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Be thorough, that's okay. The only one on the board is who went to school.
Yeah, it's a valuable asset to forward.
Is there an interest in doing that? Does be able to say that you did it?
I'm happy to do that.
I know where it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I know where it is too.
I'm putting it down as well.
No, I, that's,
That's
I live
right
right
around the
across.
corner.
Oh, it is, okay.
Tony and I, stone's throw.
Exactly.
I mean, I've been around the corner since the mid-90s, so I know where it is. I mean, I just, but if you want, I mean,
I just think it might be nice to do and then say, be able to say that you've done your homework. It's not really gonna happen.
I think if you think for due diligence, it makes sense.
Yeah, I think it would be responsible of us to
Okay.
do it. So if we can,
You're very
if we
welcome.
have permission to do that.
Yes.
And it might be worth taking a look at the north property line from where the land is, to see the nature of the landscape. Is there,
it's this sort of.
they see a speck of light, the tree goes up to mock it, it's.
All right, so I don't think that we're asking you to make any changes, but we would like to do a site visit so that we be thorough in our.
And this would be committee of two for,
No, I just,
oh,
well, you have to do site visits and choose.
Mhm.
So.
You're all welcome, anytime.
Oh.
Let's go right now, and get it over with.
Just for a point of clarification, I'm pretty sure you can't use committee of two for a historic structure or anything in the historic district,
That's correct, yes.
even if you wanted to. Okay, good, just so you know.
Go and choose, but it cannot go anywhere near committee of two consideration because it is historic.
okay.
So do you want to go after this meeting today?
I don't know about everybody's availability. We aren't supposed to go in a group.
I understand that, but is everybody available after the meeting at some point?
I'm available right after the meeting or in 2 weeks, so maybe right after the meeting makes sense.
Whatever you want to do.
I can do right after the meeting. I have an obligation.
You can't do.
I can do it right after the meeting. I have an obligation.
Okay, so can either of you do it or,
I can go right after, I mean.
all right, so then you guys.
Pick up the bags on the way.
Then Tony, you want to go 2 weeks from now?
Oh, I'll go right now, actually, if it's okay.
All right, then you could do a half hour after or 15 minutes after, Tom and Emily, would that work for you?
Yeah, I'm confused.
We can only
You're not
go
allowed
to-
to walk in together.
We can only go
Only
to
two.
two.
In two.
Okay.
Does that work? Or you can do it on your own too.
Right,
That's
if we
easy.
go today, is that changing in the next?
I don't think so.
They have to wait till next month to get their approval.
Right,
Yes, I have a full committee of two can sign off.
Oh, committed to.
No, cannot.
Got it.
Oh, the Department of Interior.
Mrs. Welding, is that good for you today?
Yes. Everybody can come whenever they want, it's just.
Okay.
it's not affecting the. Not affecting the community.
No.
So do you want to do it at all?
I can't do it today,
No, I didn't mean that. And then,
but I can drive. I don't have to go inside.
Or just go to the schoolhouse.
Just go to the schoolhouse,
Yeah,
get the
I know.
perspective, maybe walk down on the edge of the street.
excellent.
Right, because this is the schoolhouse view. And there is a view set up based on your requirements. There's nothing like being there to see it.
We're going to your knees, because we have to go from the point of view of a.
Child?
Fifth grader, yes.
I think we're talking more about it than we take the fun.
School's out, you know.
Yeah, she's like, oh, she got school is out.
If I'm right home, I'm looking out.
This is your.
Exactly.
Okay.
Tony, you and Tom are gonna go. Emily doesn't need to
I don't,
go,
I mean,
and
I'm going
Alicia-
home, I'll look at it when I get out of the car.
Yeah, that's my plan too.
It's right there.
All right,
I can go and send you a note.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Okay.
like your motion to return?
Yes, we've adjourned this. Is there a motion to keep the application for the linden tree?
Yeah.
Second?
Second,
Okay, all those in favor? Guys?
thank you.
Charlotte.
Shall we pack our?
Yeah, he's got this.
Oh,
All right.
well, I'm gonna take you back.
99.
Yeah, let me get.
Yeah, that's it.
I love your presentation, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it.
IKEA, $78.
For free. Yeah, why not?
Oh my gosh, really?
Alicia,
I love it every year.
I'm just gonna keep this, I'm just gonna keep linden tree. Dude, I like it. I really need it.
Yes. I mean, wonderful presentation. The models were fantastic.
Right.
Love it.
I have no models.
And Charlotte has stuff.
Yeah.
I've been doing it since the last time.
Can we pull up the images?
Yeah.
Did I drive to your file? Did I? Think of one woman? Yes. Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Ahrb from New Properties for homeowner Maggie Bear LLC in Minneapolis. We are seeking your approval to do some fairly modest alterations to a 2009 house that was heavily renovated in 2015 at 99 Fairwood Pond Lane. Can we focus in a little bit on those two bottom pictures? Zoom in a little bit. Just wanted to give you some context of what the house currently looks like. The elevation that's going to be most affected by what we're doing is the pool side of the house, the eastern elevation, which faces an ag reserve. Picture next to it to the right is the western elevation, which faces the pond. It's behind some very high hedges. It's barely visible from the road. There's only one driveway with entrance through the hedges to the house. And then if you go to the top of that picture, the one on the left is the northern facade and the southern facade is on the right, which is fairly close to the property line. There's conservation easement to the north that separates the house from its neighbor on that side. And then in the middle, there's a rendering of what these alterations might look like, at the end of the project. We have painted the house white. What we're looking to do here is essentially this. We're creating a screened-in enclosure under an existing second floor deck. We're looking to put some glass railings where there are now some simple balustrades on the second level. And we're looking to replace some French doors that the homeowner feels are kind of dated and are outswing French doors with sort of an arts and crafts kind of look to them, with sliding glass doors. So if we go then to the third page, let's just take a quick look at the elevations. as they exist now and as we're proposing. I think it's pretty modest. You can see the French doors that currently exist. There are a couple of eyebrow windows and some porthole windows that are also being kind of removed in this go round. So those are the current elevations that are really being affected here. We're really only altering anything on the eastern and northern elevations. So that's the current elevation. And if we look at the next page, this is what we're proposing. We've expanded the glazing in the room that's on the right-hand side under the screen porch, essentially, but many of the other openings are being made smaller so that we can actually not expand the amount of glazing versus siding.
Could you toggle to the previous one for 1 second, quick?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Right? Yes, you can see that. Well, actually, it's a little difficult to see because in the future, in the proposed rendering, the screening sort of obscures the fact that that is, that the glass behind that is actually expanding a little bit. But on the glazing study, you'll see exactly how that works. Okay, so if we go to the next page, what you'll see is the eastern elevation before current and proposed, and it's exactly the same, 24% glazing by making the alterations. And again, the owner sort of finds the current French doors to be sort of not to his liking, and their outswing, which is, I think, always sort of really inconvenient. Doesn't allow for screening. There are all sorts of reasons why he wants to change these larger sliders, but fewer of them. Okay, there's a rendering up there, as you can see, of the house illuminated. Proposing to change the lighting fixtures on this side of the house to leadlier LEDs that cast downward. Okay. Then again, if we go to the next slide, next page, you'll see the same thing here. We actually are moving from 12% to 11% on this glazing.
I'm a little confused then. The rendering in the nighttime is reflecting.
It's mostly, it is actually, in order to kind of sort of capture the whole kind of look and feel of this thing, it is sort of at an angle a bit.
Also,
It's not this.
on 40, A40, when you look at the photograph and then you see the east back elevation, the window on the top or they're not the same. Am I looking at the same thing? I'm just confused.
Oh, yeah, this is the same thing I'm asking.
Because you have like above the where you want to put the screen. So in the rendering, you have 2 windows for a slider door, and then in the photograph you have 3, and then windows on top.
You know what? I apologize. I'm just now realizing we did not update the rendering with the same number of windows that are in the elevation. So that's just.
So the elevation is right.
The elevation is correct. Rendering is
Rendering
not.
is not.
So which one is correct?
The rendering is not correct. The
So this
elevations
is-
are correct.
This is what, okay.
So it's
There are
not.
one
this, but
or
It's
2
this.
panels that we took out in the ultimate elevation and which the glazing study
That's not what
reflects.
it is.
But the application, the glazing figures that are in these elevations are the ones that are correct. I apologize for that. we need to
Some upgrade.
modify this rendering. Does this make
Some upgrade.
sense?
The way this is calculated, 11%.
I would have to review the numbers, but there's a lot of wall compared to this whole amount of windows that go in the house, but I would say 11%, that top picture doesn't look exactly accurate.
Well, yeah, I mean, so this is the thing, if I can walk over here. So we're actually, you know, we're looking at this angle, right? So this is this, right? But this side is here.
Yeah.
Right, so we took this view to really capture the bulk of what it was we were talking
Including the
about.
roof though, in that?
Sorry,
Are you including the roof in your calculations?
the roof. I mean, the eyebrow windows,
Well, so that whole wall of glass that we're looking at.
That's not on the bottom.
It's not on the bottom because the bottom is a straight dog leg, so you're looking at that area there and then this part of the house.
could you go back one to the eastern elevation?
No, that's like a marquee.
Yeah, no, this is what
I think it's sort of easier to see what we did here. We took this at this angle, right? So what you're looking at here, this, then this.
It's just a little confusing trying to figure out what you're,
Correct.
the other thing that I'm curious about is if you look at the proposal of your screened porch, and then you look at A403, proposed east side, you have that canopy, but it looks like you're saying a screened porch, but you're showing glass. It looks like that is all windows underneath there.
Yeah, it is screened. The canopy kind
Okay,
of
so that's
obscures
not,
that.
so this isn't accurate.
Well, it is accurate, you know.
Well, with the, you have three, and then you have this, so this isn't this is not what you're proposing. Correct?
It is.
So over here, you have 2 panes, right here you have 3. And then you have 4 over here.
All right, well, that is the part that
Same
perhaps
as
is confusing, is that,
Same as it.
Right, so it's,
right, the canopy perhaps obscures this a little bit, but the point here is that under that canopy is the screened porch.
Well, now she's talking about above the canopy.
so it's not just the canopy, what you look at, because to me, it looks like that's glass, but on top of that, it goes back to the same rendering of this, which you're saying is not accurate. Like, that's not accurate either.
I'm not
Making
sure,
sense?
I'm not sure I really fully understand what you're
I
saying.
know. What she's saying is that on this page, right, in the day,
On A403,
Yeah,
it's also the same thing that you said was incorrect here with the window and the windows. Here
right,
and here.
right. It is, yes,
So which-
it's equally incorrect, the elevations are correct.
okay, I'm just trying to
I
get a
didn't
sense of
update
what
renderings,
is,
and I apologize for that.
Okay.
okay,
I think I feel comfortable with the design, with what I know about the design. But I don't know enough about the design to vote on it now, just with the inconsistencies between the drawings.
Correct. I mean, yes,
The renderings.
There's yes,
but they're here, so I mean. Was this a previous version?
Well, internally to us, it was. Right, we reduced the number before we presented this, we reduced the number of.
Okay, so I think it should just be accurate, even just because it was presented with the renderings.
Okay.
So I would have the renderings accurate to plans. So we're just.
So is it also the angle that's sort of causing some confusion?
Yeah.
Should the renderings reflect the exact
I would like
the
that,
elevation?
yes,
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I
so that
agree.
we know exactly what we're looking at,
Okay,
Right, you can do various sides, but. yeah.
right?
Cause it's almost like. You're not doing it head on, but the renderings head on, doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. I would certainly do that.
Okay.
Any other comments about the scope?
I'd say the adjustments made between the renderings and the elevations are good ones, reducing some of the overall glazing.
Maybe there's an alternative, considering heavy step lights rather than a lot of these new pictures, which are, yes, down lighting, but they're also illuminating a lot of lighting. Some of our past ones has gone to like step lights where it doesn't end up illuminating so much of the siding on the house.
Would that be for the second floor or for both floors?
At least the second, maybe, maybe
Yeah,
down below too.
4 fixtures on the second floor.
Yeah.
On each side of the doors, sliding doors. Okay. Okay, so matching the renderings with the elevations, and we're taking another look at lighting.
And the pictorial page 403, is it possible that we can have that canopy taken off so that we can actually see what?
Yes, the canopy off.
And the metal roof is not, is it hint that it might be an electric panel roof, is that?
Say that again.
Across the back. Looks a little bit like solar panels, but that's not solar panels, correct?
No, they're skylights.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's an existing metal copper roof, actually.
Okay, but not skylight, or you
With
propose.
skylights in it, yes.
So there are not gonna be any changes to the west side? It's
So
just
west side, no.
okay, so that's all things.
But just to clarify, these existing skylights will be incorporated into this, or is this a whole new roof?
It's an existing roof. Yes, we were considering removing them,
Yeah,
but we are not, so we'll put them in.
okay. And the roof will be white or black? Just for discussion,
It'll be black.
it'll be black, okay.
The roof of that metal portion, copper portion will be painted black. That's
Is it oxide green right now? A few,
yeah, it just, if the client really wants it, doesn't want
yeah.
patina of copper. Rather. Anything else?
No, it's nice that you can revamp some of these older renovations to please people instead of
Right.
tearing them down. Yeah.
Yeah, it does, even though it was 2015, it does feel.
It's, yeah, things move so, things move
Feels a
so
little
quickly now.
80s.
It does.
Yeah.
Yellow, yeah.
Any other questions? Yeah, good. Okay, very
I
good.
know what I need to do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Open to adjourn?
So move.
Second. All those in favor?
Hi.
Okay,
No one is here for Sun Man,
Oh, right.
Yeah.
okay,
and that would have been LaGuardia Designs, so I don't know.
okay.
This is proving to really confusing.
Let's adjourn that then.
So
Okay.
you're gonna have to adjourn that one?
Yeah,
So move.
okay. Second?
Okay.
Thanks. Hi. We didn't keep for July?
I'll be back on the 10th. I'm not going anywhere, so I can do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Any comments, John? Is there anybody else?
That's
Sorry
awesome.
about that. I'm all good.
Discuss.
Okay,
Chicken.
very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
John.
John, take care.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor of getting out of here relatively early?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
You're taking the straight to New York.
Yes.
We're adjourned.
Now,